Hello, everyone. Hi, what's going on? It's Brian, Miss Berlin, Mr. Betcher, breaking down security this week.
Hey, hey,
Hey, thank God,
how's it
it
going?
works.
Yay, it
Oh,
works.
it works. Oh,
Yay.
first time. Oh, um, yeah. Hey, everybody. Yeah, they don't give us a job to idiots, you know. I'm just saying. Yeah. So it's Sunday night. Hope everyone's having a had a great weekend. Mr. Betcher, what did you do this week?
This weekend, nothing really. Nothing really.
Okay.
Did a few PowerShell commands to help me out on Monday for work.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Mm, Not much.
Well, okay. So I mean, what did you need the PowerShell commands for?
Our company's changing names, so I have
Oh,
to go into Active Directory and change everybody's domain, right, and their email address
oh
and all
God.
kinds of stuff. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting. That's interesting. Um, I'm not going to ask why you're changing names. I mean, companies do it all the time. They get acquired or, they decide they want to change things. But um, what happens if you get it wrong?
The name?
For an individual, or you're talking if the company
Well,
chooses a name that sucks or something like that.
I was thinking that, but like, what happens if your DNS doesn't turn over? Did you have to? What was the process to do that? How many? I mean, I've never had to
Yeah.
change a company's name before, so it's like, did you have to go in and go, okay, we got it on the domain servers, we got it on Azure accounts, we got it on our DNS, our DHCP server, anything that we've got
Yeah.
exposed to the internet. I mean, did you what was the process to like find all that shit?
Um, well, it was a team effort, obviously, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we have to make sure that we got all our ducks in a row as far as domain names and uh, register them properly. Make
Right.
sure that Azure, we've got everything there ready to go, that it's all registered properly.
Okay.
Get it into Active Directory. Make sure that we can actually change a few people, test them. Make sure that our gateway's functioning properly with that new name.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to block all these emails coming in and out.
Right.
And then there's the branding piece, which is very important. You got to get the email signatures correct. Make sure everybody's consistent across the board. Push that out, and then script the changes so that you don't fat finger one person and then you're trying to troubleshoot, or your help desk is trying to troubleshoot why that one person's not correct and everybody
Right.
else is. And then of course you get like, oh, the keys on my keyboard are stuck, you guys made the domain change, and so they blame you for everything, right?
The toilet
So
doesn't flush anymore. What did you do? Yeah,
yeah.
that kind of, yeah, yeah. So for like, how long are you keeping the old name and the new name? Because I'd imagine any sales leads or anything like that may accidentally send that, to the old name. It's like, oh, sorry, bounce. And then it's like, oh, we've lost a sale. So what's that like for like the sales and the marketing folks? Or it's like, hey, we're not, we're not in a trode now. We're in a tech this week, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so you got to keep that old domain going because you still need to receive the inbound from the old
right,
domain,
right,
whereas the outbound can be the new one, but you don't want your customers to get confused, so you tell everybody, "Hey, you can send out automatic replies if you want. If
right.
somebody sends one for, abc.com and you're no longer that, you're XYZ, you just send an automatic reply through the system to say, we're changing our name,
Okay.
meet the new us, right?
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's a long and arduous process to get that changed from an IT perspective, right? And then from a
Right.
security perspective, you got this new brand. You got to make sure that your gateway is functioning properly with that new domain, and also you got your DMARC policies up to block any spoofers out there that are novel, that see that new name and they want to, get their stuff out quickly before you put security in place. So get that done early.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So this is the first time you've ever done this before, then? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Berlin, have you ever done anything like this? Where you've had to change names in a company?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I mean, I've dealt with some mergers and acquisitions and stuff, doing network security things. But as far as we were concerned, all the firewall rules, it didn't matter if we changed the names or not.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Nobody
Right
sees
on.
those with us. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So
usually it's a lot easier. Like if you get acquired, you're like ABC, an XYZ company, something like that. So they just make those tiny changes, and it's like a 5-year process or whatnot. But this one was like, okay, we got to do this in 30 days. Boom.
we had doing business as
DBAs. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forget. There's a when I was registering the nonprofit, I had to register myself in some kind of business registry or something, and it was like DBA, Brian Brake, DBA as InfoSec Education Foundation or something. And I can't remember what the name of that company is, but yeah, it's like you have to be in it because everyone is in it. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to pay for that. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, cool. So you found the PowerShell you needed to be able to do that. That's pretty awesome. It's good you can do it by PowerShell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very nice. Awesome. Miss Berlin, I know what you did this weekend, but you've
pictures of it.
You messed me up. My childhood crush of Betty Rubble is, been tainted. So for those of you who don't follow Ms. Berlin, she went to a costume party, and I believe your meat dressed up as Betty Rubble, her boyfriend, which made me feel odd in weird places.
And our neighbors were Fred and Barney, so they're both women,
Right.
and they're married.
Right.
And the one who is Fred is a very tall woman.
Yeah.
So she was a great Fred, and her
Right.
wife is a very, very short woman. So she was a great Barney.
Yeah.
And Matt and I are very close to the same height. So we were great. And then we had our children also.
Yeah. And then Pebbles and Bam Bam. Pebbles looked like she was older than all of y'all, and Bam Bam was like 8 foot tall. I mean, he top of his head was like off the screen, and I'm like,
it was at a
"Holy
bar,
shit."
so it was hard to have actual children play those parts. It could have. It wouldn't have looked good.
Yeah. It's not a good look. Yeah, this is we're not in deep country, okay? You can't have, baby on the hip and what have you. So it looked like y'all had fun though. That was
yes, and we won second place. The people that won first are the people that always win.
Oh,
and they are
cosplayers, aren't they?
Well, they're a married couple that are very
Artsy.
very artsy, and they also have a very large height difference. So the guy's like 6'2" and his wife's 3'8", maybe. Like she's very tiny, like maybe 4.5 feet, something like I'm 5'3" and I tower over her. And this year they were Geppetto and Pinocchio.
Oh man,
phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. They've been like the one year I went, they were Dr. Evil and Mini-Me.
Okay.
They've been, the Jelly Green Giant and Sprout.
Oh wow.
It's always like a height play.
Yeah.
Really.
What did they win? Beta Wolf is wanting to know. Hey, Beta Wolf.
I think $100 gift card, maybe.
To the bar?
To the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got to spend it there. It's not like a gift card,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, they have good food and stuff.
That's good. Right on. So other than the costume party, that's all you went and did?
We did yoga.
I love yoga.
Yeah, we watched some movies.
Okay.
Went to an antique place. Yeah,
Antiquing already. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my
Okay.
kids love it. My kids love it too. So like my youngest kid absolutely loves going to antique places.
What
Um,
kind of antiquing is it? Like old, lanterns and just old stuff, or is there a specific genre? Or
so just any place that takes you a very long time to get through and look through a bunch of people's random stuff.
okay, you almost said
Like
crap
IKEA.
there. I
I
know you
almost
say
said crap.
like an IKEA.
Like IKEA, yes. But you like
Oh,
a couple steps above Goodwill.
okay, okay. Hey, you'd be surprised what you can find
But
on
not
consignment in
but not
places.
to like
So,
antique roadshow level,
right,
It's not.
right,
Yeah.
right. Very
It's not
cool.
that high end
Okay,
antique stuff.
right,
Right.
right. um, yeah, we went to the safari park out here in San Diego, just up the street in Escondido. Pretty nice,
Near
It
my
was,
brother's house.
yeah, it was about 74 degrees. It was sunny. It was a beautiful weekend, of course. And yeah, it was good times. My wife is actually watching the Chargers right now. I told her I'd probably pull it up on YouTube TV here on the computer. So if I go when somebody's talking, yeah, don't worry about it.
Just ignore.
Yeah, we're sucking this year though. It's just horrendous. Yeah.
Didn't they move cities though?
Yeah, like 3 years ago. It was
Yeah.
before the
Well, I don't
pandemic
keep
started, I think. It's okay. It's okay. They spent 20 years trying to get a stadium down here when I got here in 2001, they were complaining about the stadium. So it was probably even sooner than that. But through a series of bad city attorneys, poor Chargers GMs, the Spanos family, and several ballot initiatives that just didn't quite pass from the San Diego people, the Spanos family just said, I'm it. That's it. I'm out. I quit this bitch. And then they moved up the street to LA, and are sharing the stadium with the LA Chargers. Stan Kroenke, who basically said the same thing to St. Louis, but St. Louis liked the Rams and wanted to keep them, but that didn't happen. So they built a $2 billion stadium in Inglewood here in LA, and actually we're going up there in a couple of weeks for the Lions game. So it's going to be kind of fun to go up there for that. So we won't be recording on that Sunday night because I won't be here. But yeah,
You could do it live from on location.
I could do it live. Yeah. I mean, I'd be like this. I'd be like, yeah, that was great. Yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah. So we
Now,
were
San
talking.
Diego, do they have the
Go ahead.
best zoo in the country?
You damn right we do. Shit.
Okay.
We used to have
I like
pandas.
this better.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I like
No, it's not. No, not even.
we have
No.
Jack Hanna.
You got me beat there. We had- yeah. He's gone now. I thought did he pass?
We had Jack Hanna. I don't know if he's still alive or not.
Yeah.
He was
I
in
see.
Columbus.
Oh yeah, the Columbus Zoo. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's funny on David Letterman and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So, Mr. Betcher, I want to apologize. This is a long time in coming because I just started watching it. But remember, I don't want to say remember about 5 years ago, but remember about 5 years ago when you said, "Hey, have you ever watched the show Naked and Afraid?" And I said, I can't see myself ever watching that show.
Yeah.
And
We started watching the show.
Yeah.
I still don't understand it. I mean, I don't get it, but they're naked. They're not afraid. They're not afraid, except when the rhinos and shit come. But these people are crazy. It's like almost like a cult. It's like, you're walking around in the jungle and you meet another naked person. They're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And I'm like,
right.
Miss Berlin's got a weird face. Tell me your thought.
I have so many. Are these people nudist before they go on this show?
No.
Okay.
No.
You sure?
No, they're
You know anything
survivalists.
about it?
No, they're survivalists. They're little vignettes before they do the shows. Like, oh, I'll spend 5 days out in the desert, and you see them with all this camo on, and they're like, hard and everything, and this lady's like, oh, I've spent several years in the forest and hunting and stuff, and she was from Austria. The episode we saw. That's the only reason I know that. I'm sorry about Austria.
Oh yeah, and they got these girls that they will shoot a gazelle and like hang it up in a tree and skin it and eat the heart.
Yeah.
These are hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
some of
do
the
that.
episodes.
I have no interest in doing it naked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I want to say it's tasteful. They blur the naughty bits.
Sure.
You can tell some guys have larger blur than others, but it's okay. The episode I saw with the Austrian lady and this British dude, he was like, "Oh, I hope they're using the largest blur on me." I was like, "Okay, guy, maybe we don't say that on TV." But yeah, it's super interesting. They go from either 14 or 21 days, and I hate that I like watching the show. I was trying to be completely uninterested in it when my wife started watching it, because she said, "Oh, I watched it with a couple of friends in Vegas," and she's like, "Oh, let me go check this out." And I was like, I don't want to watch this. This is so fucking stupid. And then it's like I'm watching this, and I'm like, we were at the wild animal park, and I've watched it enough. My wife is walking around. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm scouting out where to put a boma in, and where we can put things." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I saw a lizard. I was thinking about forming a stick so I could go over there and hack on it." I was like, "First, I got to take my clothes off first, So I'm like, I was like, "Maggie, you got to hold our clothes so we can go and find these lizards and shit." It was funny though. We were walking around going, "Oh, that'd be a perfect place for a boma. We could set that up." And that's the camp out or the site that they pick out for their stuff, and it's just nuts. Yeah, I think Beta Wolf, I think you're right. The you're supposed to be doing it as a primitive person, yet they got a fire starter and a pot. So it's like they're just sitting there making fire, flint and steel and everything, pulling it off. But
It all depends on where they're located. If they're in a desert,
right?
Typically. No, they get different tools, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they have a pot because there's no way they're going to find clean water to boil.
Right.
And there's no way they're going to, like, they're in a jungle. There's no rocks anywhere, so they can't like make a bowl or something like that. So they pretty much have to have a pot to boil their water in. Otherwise, they're not going to make it.
Yeah, one of the episodes I saw, they found termite mounds, and they're like, "Oh, the way they grind up this stuff with their teeth and the termites, you can make bowls out of it." So these people were taking like termite shit that was, from the mound and making bowls and stuff with it. And you're right, Beta Wolf. They're like, when you're surviving, you don't care if you see someone naked, except the pervs who do. I don't think there's any pervs. I think they're all just flea bitten and mosquito. Yeah, they get pretty beat up. Most of the time, it's like, it's so cold at night because it gets down in the 50s, and there's always biting insects and stuff. So, long story short, though, I apologize, Mr. Betcher. I watch it now. We have it set up to record every one of them that we can find online. So it's not like your typical reality TV show. Thankfully, it's not. I mean, there's probably, I would imagine some scripting, but they're getting their asses beat out there for 21 days. So
if there was an infosec survival show,
we'd all die.
What? No, not like when they're sending us outside to actually survive. Right. But like, what would the infosec version of that be?
What's Naked and Afraid, but for infosec?
It's now just like you have an IR job. Is that it?
Yeah,
well,
probably.
See, they basically naked means you have no tools to go to work with.
Sure.
Or maybe you have one, like maybe you have, a domain controller or something like that, right? And you have to walk into this company that's getting their ass kicked, right? And you have
zero internet access. Zero internet access. You have to go.
Got to make your own internet. Got to make your own switch. Like,
you have no autocomplete.
Well, that's like IT.
I tap. I tap. No autocomplete. I tap. I can't handle this shit. No bash history. Nope. I tap. I tap. Yeah.
No copy paste.
I'm dead. I just dead. I'm dead.
Okay,
Python
that's your
2.7.
survival weapon. Copy paste, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get one item. So like usually
Yeah.
the dude brings this huge ass, it was a knife, and the
Sure.
lady, one of the ladies I saw brought in mosquito netting, which was like, yes, 100% mosquito netting. The lady from Austria brought her bow and arrow, which she actually used to kill something. But it was like, mosquito netting. Why don't people think of bringing mosquito netting? I would take that over anything else, that kind
Oh
of
yeah,
thing.
same.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what Naked and Afraid for infosec was. Maybe we should talk to Lentile and see if we can make something like that happen. He's doing Hacker Jeopardy. I mean, what's the next?
Send him a message real quick.
Naked and Afraid, but infosec. Yeah, no, that would be pretty awesome. It'd be like, you have to make your own network, and you get. I wouldn't say people are attacking you, but it's like, you have to build your network from the ground up as secure as possible or something like that. And yeah. Oh man. Speaking of
Or you're
building
dropped
networks,
into the dark web and you have to
oh my god,
survive there.
yeah,
I don't know.
naked, yeah. You're on the dark web, not on Tor. You're using your home computer, or your grandma's computer that she's had for Windows XP with no patches, and you're on the dark web. Oh, that would be horrendous.
Yeah, you
That would
have
be
a
horrendous.
you have a Windows XP unpatched, and they
Oh,
drop you in on the internet with a Oracle database with
No.
a bunch of credit card data in it,
It's-
and
No.
you have to like
every site you can go to has Flash enabled, and
It's just oh god, just flashbacks now and PTSD for the 2000s.
you're vulnerable to configure and it just everything.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not even
Oh my
Service Pack
God.
2. That's just XP Service Pack 1.
Oh yeah.
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 For
Yeah.
sure.
Windows 98. Windows 98. Yeah,
I think
right.
I'd take 98 over XP Service Pack 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
because you
too.
go further back and you're actually more secure because it's
Yeah.
That's true. That's
so
true.
obscure.
I would say, when I worked as a government contractor, we had like Windows 2000 boxes, and most of our hacking tools now don't even have stuff with Windows 2000 on it. So,
Yeah.
they don't have like, implants or anything that would work with that. So you'd almost have to create custom stuff, and you'd have to get a copy of 2000, and that. So,
Or
yeah,
you could
the
just
further-
drop that CD in that you accidentally loaded when you were at that one place, and then
I don't know what you're
all
talking.
kinds of bells and whistles went off,
I
and
don't know what
you
you're
were
talking.
getting phone calls and like, hey, your computer's hacked.
Hold on,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
That one would work.
On the advice of legal counsel, I am supposed to completely take the fifth on that one. So,
I
yeah.
think the time has passed. But
Statute of limitations
It's
has
been, it's been 7
exceeded.
years. Come on.
Yeah, it's been
7
7
years.
years. Yeah.
isn't that
But
for
it's-
murder? Maybe not. Maybe murder
Yeah.
doesn't have statute of limitations. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah, it could be anything, depending on what the CFAA says for it,
Well, double jeopardy. You've already been prosecuted for that, right?
I did my time.
Internally, I have done that to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but so Naked and Afraid, not awful. Kind of. It does feel a little formulaic sometimes, but there's a lot of folks. It's like it's interesting to see the folks who go out and are like super hard, and then after 2 days are like, I can't do this. I got a tab. And then it's like they just can't make it.
Well, you're sitting there. Don't drink that water. Oh, I'm so thirsty. This looks okay, and they start drinking it,
yeah.
and you just know that the next day they're going to be like pissing out of their butts, right?
Yeah, their tummy's going. And you're, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we digressed a lot, but I don't
We
give
did
a
digress
shit.
a lot.
It's our show, so if you don't like it, go make your own show. So
Will not return any money though. I'm sorry.
that's
no
right. We'll give you
No
money back
return.
guarantee. Yeah, exactly. But so it was what Mental Health Awareness Month was September, right? I think something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, It was interesting. I've talked about this a little bit on streams earlier, but so my kryptonite, I've been taking that for the last 2 days. And the reason I call it my kryptonite is my ADHD stuff. So I've had my Ritalin in for the last 2 days.
Wouldn't
Um,
kryptonite make you weaker though?
well, so we talked a little bit about this beforehand. Everybody seemed to try to tell me that ADHD was a Superman, made me Superman, and I don't want to be Superman. I don't think I don't think we need a world with heroes like that. And to be honest, the questions that I had with my therapist or the person that I'm talking with, Dr. Lee, you know, I see a lot of people I've worked with, Mr. Betcher, you, other folks, and it's like, do I suck? Or, why isn't my career moving as quickly as them? Do I just am I awful? Do I suck? Did I just, not take advantage of opportunities that existed? I've got friends out there that are starting their own companies and shit, and I was working with them, and some folks were actually even below me. So I was like, is there a problem with me? Um, you know, and a lot of the questions that were answered, I raised the question. I was like, look, I'm loath to go onto medication because I'm like, these questions are largely subjective. Any day of the week, depending on how I feel, um, is I could be a yes or a no on this, depending on the day of the week or what I'm doing at that point or what have you. And she talked about that, and she said, yeah, there's some things, but it's more an aggregate thing. Do it's not episodic. It's like, do how often do you feel not motivated to do things, or do you not want to, how often do you procrastinate on things, or do you lose things, which is ironic because I thought I lost my wallet for about 36 hours. She's like, what do you do when you lose things? I was like, oh, I've just gotten so used to losing Bluetooth earbuds that I just buy new ones now. And then when I find the old ones, it's like, great. So I've got like 15 pairs of Bluetooth earbuds sitting around the house. But so it was like, yeah, I got so used to losing things that I just didn't give a shit anymore and just went on Amazon and they'll be there the next day. And she's like, yeah, people don't lose things like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes, Beta Wolf, thank you. Yeah, I understand. It is a bad coping mechanism. If I didn't have the scratch that I have, I probably would be okay with that. Which leads me to my next point. The job market is complete shite right now. And I'm 44 years old. And, I would like to either move into more, management space or outside of InfoSec, or move into something that, would appeal to me. And I find myself probably not equipped to do so. And my doctor was saying that a lot of people who come in find out that they've got ADHD is because they're Superman up to a certain point in their careers. And then when they've been promoted, they find they can't cope anymore. And I don't want to say that's been happening to me at work because I've got at least one viewer on here. My boss did tell me he did catch us live one time when we were streaming on LinkedIn. So he's not here tonight. But it was like, at some point, it's like I get pulled in so many different directions and contexts. And, she asked if I was a worrier. And I was like, I'm an infosec. That's my job. And she's
Right.
like, yeah, it's like, the what ifs, and I told her about the story, and we've mentioned on the show here. Took me 8 months to start the podcast. It took me 2 years to start the stream because all of the what ifs in my brain, the worrying, what if it sucks? What if nobody watches? What if I can't do this? What if I can't make a go at it? And she was like, do you have trouble delegating things to people? And I was like, no, I delegate well. I don't delegate well.
What do you delegate?
Yeah. Well, I would argue that the reason our nonprofit sucked and crashed and burned was because I pretty much did everything myself because, tasking other folks to do it, it was like by the time I explained them to do it, I could do it myself. Or, there were some trust issues there where it was like, it's not that I didn't trust them to do it. It was like, I trust that I'm going to get it done in the next 5 minutes. I could send them an email and it may take them a week and I can just get it done right now. And so, yeah, there's some things, and it was definitely to there's some issues there, and she's like, the other thing that as I was driving home, the other thing I was like, I have to take a ADHD drug because the company that I work for, I have to take this drug so that I can continue working at my job. It's like my job has made it so that I have to take ADHD. And she's like, no, you probably would have had to do this at any job you worked at, not just this job in particular. And I was like, oh, that's okay. So the other thing that got me, and the reason I'm bringing this up in Miss Berlin, was I used to tell people, go get tested, be safe, go see a therapist if you need to. All in my mind, I was like, I got no problems. I don't have a problem. I'm good. I'm Brian fucking Brake, finger guns and stuff. So I'm eating the humble pie a little bit. And, it was just, I don't want to call it an epiphany, but there's a lot of things that come up on Twitter, or, there'd be a list of people like, hey, do you have, what is it? Do you know what it's like to, think about everything at once? And it was like, that's me. Or, they had like questions like, oh, some of the times I was like, oh, I feel seen because this is exactly how it would react for me. So, yeah, I guess the overarching end of this is, don't assume that you don't have any problems. Try to be introspective as much as you can. Be objective. Not everybody needs it, obviously, but if you've noticed some things, or you can answer yes to 7 of those 10 little questions that people put up for jokes and ha-has on Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, it doesn't hurt to go get checked out. Getting the stuff though was a pain in the ass. It took me a week and a half just to get them because there was a shortage at CVS, and then I had to wait another week to go get it at Walgreens. So
they have
that was the
massive
other
shortages
thing
right now.
Yeah, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I actually didn't want to go on Ritalin or Adderall. There was some other things. They have like a patch that you can use. There was a couple of other things. There was some non-stimulant versions that I was like, hey, let's do those first. And she was like, well, they take longer to work. And I was like, okay, I guess so. So we'll try the Ritalin for a while, and then hopefully move to something that's non-stimulant, so I can continue having as much coffee as I want. So
yeah. I told you I was taking my 15-year-old tomorrow to see if he has to have him diagnosed, because I'm pretty sure he's just been misdiagnosed with a learning disability for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And he started going to school online and massively improved.
Oh, cool. Was it just in the way he was learning, or the way that the information was being delivered?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. One of the things my doctor wife, Dr. Brake, did her doctorate in was adult education and learning. And, we talk about security training all the time, but the problem is security training is often delivered as though we were still in high school, which for us adults doesn't fall the same way. So that's why little vignettes, little 3 to 5 minute videos over time is a lot easier than, sitting down for an hour-long lecture on something. How you interact with people, having, there's whole businesses set up for these things. And my wife has been working on some of that stuff at where she works now, but it's interesting. Once you get out of high school, the way you learn changes. I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos, and some of these are like an hour and a half long, and I make it through about 20 minutes, and I'm like, and I want to learn this Da Vinci stuff, but it's like a fucking hour and a half at a sitting. I can't do that. Right. So some of it's my ADHD. I can probably attest to that, but yeah, it's the attention span thing. So yeah, but yeah. So the other big thing was I told my boss. Which, so to give you some kind of frame of reference, this is the first boss I've ever felt like I could trust telling anything like that. Most of the time in the last places that I've ever worked, it was if I had a problem, I would just find a new job. because it was just easier. You know, that was the other thing. She was like, "Oh yeah, you change jobs every 3 to 4 years." I was like, "Maybe." She's like, "Yeah, that's typical as well, because you get bored where you're working. There's no more challenge. You don't find any more challenge. You get bored and you want to move on." I was like, "Well, it worked well in the Navy. Every 3 years you're leaving to go to a new duty station." And she's
Right.
like, "Yeah, it doesn't work in civilian world." So, but yeah, it was weird telling my boss, because I was like, "I hope you understand what that means, me telling you this," because I was like, I he's a phenomenal boss. And I told him it was the trust he's engendered just by, and he's a new guy. He's a new boss. He hasn't been a boss before. So it was really weird being able to tell him that, to feel comfortable telling him that, which I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, you probably should have just kept that shit to yourself. But I was like, I don't know.
It's
Maybe
nice
that
to be
was a
in a place
mistake.
that you can talk about that stuff.
At least in the place that I'm in, the larger organization is hot garbage, and I probably wouldn't have done that 2 years ago if this had started. But yeah, it was really cool to be able to feel like I could tell him, and it would, he understood. He's prior military, so he's Air Force though, but he's prior military. But it was nice to be able to have that kind of trust. So, but yeah, it's going to be a change. There's going to be some growing pains and some things, but hopefully, I'll sort of start instead of doing this. So, but yeah, I said, like I said, don't feel bad if you end up feeling like you can answer those questions and you need to go to a doctor and get checked out. I did, and hopefully this is going to be a positive for me. So, but yeah. Superman ADHD in infosec is a superpower to some point, and then it's like, yeah. So, yeah. What's in? Oh yeah, Beta Wolf. The other thing that got me was anxiety stuff as well. I had to take. He says I have to take anti-anxiety meds because of my job, and I do not feel like it would have been the case anywhere else. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. My anxiety. I went to a meetup in San Diego in Escondido up at the Round Table, and we were in a room with about 40 people, and the room was probably only for about 30, and I actually got a bit of an anxiety attack when I was sitting in there, and that's when I realized, hey, maybe I should go check that out, because that's never happened to me. I mean, I've gone to DerbyCon, I've gone to other places. I'm not normally claustrophobic. But yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, after an hour of being in that room, I just needed to get the hell out of there. And yeah, it was really weird. So something was definitely off. And about a year ago, I woke myself up with panic attacks to the point where it felt like I was having a heart attack. But I didn't go to the emergency room. I just kept making sure my pulse was going, which it was. But yeah, so hopefully this will help some of that. Panic attacks. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, Beta Wolf. I know you had high hopes for this job, and it's an unfortunate issue that you've got there. If you want to talk about it, let me know. Like I said, with everyone else, if you want to talk about it, if you want to ask questions, I'm an open book. So hit us up on our Discord or our Slack if you're interested. We have mental health channels on both of those. So if you want to talk, or you're worried about something, or you're having anxiety, just let people know. So we did have some security stuff that I have on here. I had a whole list of things that we were going to talk about. So, Ms. Berlin, you do a lot of automation and security. Mr. Betcher, I know, does too. So, what are some of the challenges that you deal with automation? There is a price to be paid for automation.
Yeah. Gosh. It depends on like which way you come at that question, right? So there's automation internally.
Mm-hmm.
There's automation in process. There's automation, like, because we touch so many different kinds of things from
There's
a
the
technical
SOAR products
perspective.
too.
Yeah, there's all of SOAR. So like our product does some of that stuff, right? And like even thinking about asking, all right, what would you want a SOAR product to do? is an interesting question, I think.
Right.
Like if you think about it from a security perspective, like what would you want things to do?
Right.
Most of those things are fairly easy when you get the first answers, but then you start having a lot of complexities, right? So one of the things is like automatically isolating a host.
Hmm.
Right? Something
Right.
bad happens, and especially because a lot of our customers are small, medium business. If something happens in the middle of the night, they don't want to get woken up.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
I want that host to be isolated. I'll deal with it in the morning. Okay, that's great when you think about it.
It's
But
easy to say.
it's easy to say, right? That part's easy to do.
Yeah.
But then what happens when
Then reality.
yeah. What happens when there's software out there that on the back end use past the hash,
Right.
right? What happens when the thing that you think you're isolating is actually like the logs coming from somewhere where you didn't think it's coming from, like a lot of authentication events,
Mhm.
right? If you're performing a password spray, the
Right.
logs for that are coming from the main controller.
Uh,
So if you're doing a password spray and you get a log that says password spray is happening, does that mean you're going to isolate the domain controller?
oh, yeah, that would
Right?
not be good.
Right?
That's
Does
probably
that
not a good thing.
mean that what
Well,
certain
you're
things happen on a domain controller that you would want to isolate it? And in that case, just isolating one isn't going to help, because hopefully you have more than one. There's things
but
that
then
are
it'll go
replicated.
next, and then the next
Yeah.
one, and
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
next one.
Right. So, uh, in theory, the first answers are really usually quick and easy, and then you start actually implementing automation. You're like, oh shit,
Right.
Yeah.
there's a million what ifs.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's definitely a price to be paid. Blumira is security automation. Whether it be a third party's automate, the automation is happening from your teams, but I think I think this came from a meme that I was seeing where somebody said, hey, our CISO bought this $100,000 product and we don't have the headcount to manage it.
Yeah.
And it was, it hit home. It hit home real hard because I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty much the deal. You buy a bunch of kit and nobody ever thinks about the automation costs. It does take time to dial it in. It takes manpower to do so. And if you're already overtasked, are you going to have time to go back to this and go, okay, well, now we have to futz around with our EDR and we have to make sure that we're not isolating systems from false positives or, that kind of thing. So there's a cost to be paid even after the fact, which is why I always suggested training whenever we got new kit at the place where Mr. Betcher and I used to work. I was like, I need training. We need training. We need to have the time, or we need to be able to set this up, or live update these things, because cost and maintenance of your new pet is going to take a lot. If it's a small tool, it's going to take a small amount of bit. But if it's an EDR or an XDR or ampersand, something DR, then it's going to potentially take a lot of time. And your management needs to know that.
It's like the permissions around all of that too, right? Think about SolarWinds.
Right.
Like you give something like that, like permission on everything to do a lot of tasks that the admins want to automate.
Yep.
That means you can automate some really, really bad stuff.
Right. Yeah. The I was just thinking about a lot of that, but it's like those are the costs that we don't think about. Even free stuff has a cost. If you're going to bring in an open source product, if you decide, hey, your firewall's garbage, we're going to put in pfSense. It's like you still have to maintain that either through patching, or you have to make sure that it's doing everything that it's supposed to do. And so those are the costs that I think a lot of people, I don't know about IT and security folks, but management's like, oh, we'll just throw some more money at it. Well, that's great, but now you need headcount for that. If it's going to take 2 man hours, and this is where companies come in and go, hey, we'll come in and we'll manage it for you, like Blumira, which is for good or ill, depending on how you want to go with it, how much control you want to have. But yeah, it's going to add extra cost, either in headcount or in vendors or trust in this case. And we're seeing a lot of third parties that I think some of the recent breaches we've seen, Okta got breached again, which is funny. A third party breach again that happened. Probably from I think the Lapsus folks. I think I want to say it's Lapsus folks again, but the third party thing's going to get you, and you know, you do that in lieu of having to hire somebody to be able to do those things, or it's just really weird to see that. And we had a bunch of stuff, and some of the links that we have in our document here that I think were for more testing and automation, for like testing and QA. But automation challenges, I think you can translate some of these to pretty much the same. You got upfront investments, finding people with the right skills, or automation cannot operate with the right tools. Tools cannot be operated without people with the right skills. We already have a hiring problem in infosec and cyber and IT. Now you're just adding must know this thing to your kitchen sink full of skills, so you're automatically going to not find the right people. But yeah, it's just a lot of things going on there for that. So Mr. Betcher, you have any thoughts about the automation bit? I know you and when LogMD was running, that was an automation tool, and it worked. It was fairly low, I would say fairly low need. You set it and forget it, or you run it once and it's done. I mean, that's kind of automation that's nice, but that doesn't really happen.
Well, you have to you almost have to know what you want and map it out exactly how you want it before you get started, right? Because then if you're like, oh, well, I want this to handle all of these types of alerts that come in. All right, so then you start doing it and you realize that, oh, well, I need this other third-party tool to give us some data from it.
Right.
Like say you get virus total results, right? So I got this thing that I want to get virus total results. I want to have it displayed on the screen. That has to be done up front. And I feel like it also takes very skilled implementers to do that.
Right.
If you're relying on your own people, they have to have the skills to program this automation tool as well, unless you hire consultants, which then brings its own set of issues, right? How long are you going to keep those consultants on retainer? What happens if they build something and it can't be maintained by your people, right? After they're gone or after the contract runs out. There's all these issues that have to be sussed out right in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies try to do automation and then they're unsuccessful because they don't realize that upfront cost.
So so when they don't realize that, I don't know what you do at that point. It's you're pretty much committed, so you've got to spend the extra time and money. It's like
No, a lot of people just leave it there. Like, oh, we bought this, we kind of half implemented it, it's just there now. Like they may not just they may use it for two things out of the hundreds that it could have done.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
I do with software all the time.
Found that a lot of managers say we need this tool, and they don't realize the full value of that tool. Maybe they're using 10% of it for a specific task, but it can do so much more. And if they just invested in the tool and researching of the tool and implementing that, they would get so much more out of it. Right? I see a lot of that.
So what you're saying is the $100,000 kit that our CISO just bought us, that we're only going to use 10% of it, is only worth $10,000.
Yep. Sometimes.
Do we have any good news in infosec these days?
No.
it would just be nice to have a report that says, hey, we don't suck as bad as we thought, or even if they were just fudging the
will.
numbers a little bit, it would be
I see
nice.
I see a lot of companies now doing a lot more things, offering more features. Like if you buy this one tool, it'll do identity management and log management and automation and all these things, right? You can either and some tools have licenses that if you buy 5,000 licenses, you can use them for any one of our features, right? You just use it for whatever thing you want to use it for. If you need us to keep track of your user base, well, that's one license per user, right? Or if you don't want to do identity and you want to switch over to something like vulnerability management, you can do that too and use your licenses on all your servers, right? So they're offering a lot of different things in that one package, right? So so it's not just I'm going to buy antivirus and that's all it does. So yeah, a lot of the big companies are doing that kind of thing and offering a suite of security services.
Do they do them good though? Do they sorry God,
Yeah, that's
do
what I
they
was
do
gonna
them
say, like,
well?
I think the big companies probably do because they're acquiring other people that have already done that. Oh, I mean, like
they're sucking up the
Cisco
companies
didn't
that did
have
it
a
well.
SIM. Cisco didn't have a SIM until the other day. So
Right. Yeah. I guess nobody ever got fired for buying Cisco or buying, SolarWinds or, it just kind of sucks.
Interesting. We were dealing with a small company that did something really well in security, had to do with the cloud. And at some point we couldn't deal with them. Their management just didn't work with us. They may have tried to pull the wool over our eyes and try to get a deal that we didn't want. Fast forward a year or two, and all of a sudden this big behemoth bought them. We're like, okay, different management, same tool. Hey, I could live with that. And that's just one of the little features that they offered, right? As part of their big package. So yeah, there's a lot of the acquisitions of companies that do it well. We did our EDR bake off, right? Where we probably tested, me and Michael Goff tested about 10 EDRs, right? And the one that did the best, probably 6 months later, got bought. There was another company that did log management very well, and they did all their SIM whiz-bang stuff in memory, which made it really fast.
Sure.
And then they got bought, right, by a company that was using Splunk, and they wanted to do something different and didn't want to give a lot of their money away to another vendor. So they went ahead and bought their own company.
Right. Well, if you can't innovate, then you acquire, right? So you run into those kinds of issues
and in some cases you can innovate, but why not if you have the money and you're a big company like that, why not purchase the innovator, right? That's all they did. They focused on that one thing and they did it really well, right?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to innovate and kind of add something onto your product, patch it, put lipstick on it, right?
Yep. I'm trying to remember. Something just got bought recently, but everybody was like, "Oh my god, now we need to get off of that." What was it? Was Splunk? Cisco bought Splunk. Okay, yeah. So there you go. I
had a handful of people say, "Oh, like Splunk's gonna lose so much money because nobody's gonna want to buy it from Cisco instead." I'm like, no, Splunk's not gonna fail. Like they're
too big,
gigantic. It's a great product. Like it's so ingrained. I mean, when you have a software that you have your own like suite of certifications for and job roles, like it's
Yeah.
mm,
One of these days, Blue Mirror will have that too.
sure.
They're not watching this, right? They're not. Nobody's watching this.
It would be a very long time until we're at Splunk level. But that's not what we want either.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I mean you're not targeting large organizations or like it's a small and medium business, so there's a bit of a lift there, right? You have to, I don't say convince small and medium businesses they need your stuff. That's the sales folks, but I mean it's like
the problem for us is they don't know that what a lot of our customers don't know what a SIM is or that they need one.
Right.
They don't have security people.
Yeah. What does that look like for y'all? Do you go to IT conferences or?
Yeah. It's real weird. I've been to MSP and IT conferences a whole lot lately.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Super interesting. You know what's great about them? Completely kind of security related. What's great about them is how you go to a security conference and they have like a vendor hall or vendor area or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are at those booths the entire time the conference is open.
Right.
You were there, you were there early, you were there stayed late, you are there the whole time. You have events, you have everything.
Sure.
Most of these like MSP and IT conferences, you have like a vendor hour here. You have a vendor hour during lunch. You have a vendor hour maybe in the evening. And then that's it. You have a very tight window where you can go talk to those vendors. Otherwise, no, you are in rooms actually watching talks and learning things.
So it's almost like speed dating your vendors or speed dating a vendor. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So how long do you get? Do you get like 5 seconds? They come by and they're like, hey, what do you do? And then you're like, well, yeah, let me tell you that. And then they're gone.
It's interesting because a lot of them are just smaller practitioners. And it's like, oh, I've been in that role before. Like, and usually you're just like bitching about IT stuff.
Right.
Okay. So it's interesting because a lot of time, I mean, you do that in security too, where you don't always have an engineer at a sales booth.
Right.
But when you do, they kind of know because like you start talking the same language and start telling stories and like
yeah.
Kind of.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. That's interesting. So there's not the same echo chamber that you get like the infosec stuff. It's
not been in it long enough to know. Okay. I know they have some bigger players that do like specific things. Like there's a guy that's one of our customers that has this huge YouTube following. He does a whole bunch of stuff with like PF Sense. And then there's like that kind of niche stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I was actually looking at going to different conferences that were not information security related. There was one down here for CISO level folks, which I pretty much was like, when they were up in Seattle, I was like Secure World and those things. And I was like, well, if I want to learn how to be a CISO, I need to probably hang out with CISOs, the DEF CON local group is great. The B-sides is great, but those are technical people. They're still hunting bugs. They still think they're going to change the world with their tools and, same shit, different talk, different conference, here's how to find things. Okay, great. I can't do that shit anymore. Never did that. Haven't done that shit in years. So it's like, I need to expand what I'm doing for conferences. So, there's a couple of conferences that I'm going to go to. There's actually a couple of conferences for IoT related items that I have to go to kind of, be spot the Fed. Considering my job where I work, it's like probably need to go and see what they're talking about because they're not releasing their speaker list until the conference starts. So I was like, okay. And they're down here in San Diego.
Spice World, which is Spice.
I saw that.
Yes. Okay. Spiceworks has their own conference.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so I went there. So that was.
What does that look like? Is that like super echo chambery? Do they have competitors there?
No,
No.
Okay.
no.
Okay.
What?
I was
Yeah, like name what Spiceworks' competitor? Reddit?
I didn't know Reddit was a competitor to Spiceworks.
I
Okay, so
mean,
wait, let's rewind. What is Spiceworks?
like they have
I thought it was
some
network
kind-
monitoring and
they have,
something.
they have like they have forums and stuff.
Oh. Well, see that's how I'm out of touch shit is.
Like what's the one everybody copies code from?
Oh, server fault or
Nope.
Stack Overflow.
Stack Overflow. Yeah, it's
Stack
kind of
Overflow.
like
Okay.
Stack Overflow, but for IT people.
Okay. Spiceworks, business and industry. Okay, so yeah, they got some news. Community. Okay, they've got a community. I thought they were like network
They
monitoring
might
or
do
something.
ticketing too. They might do ticketing, like a ticketing system.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, there was a ticketing thing that I think it was like a remedy or
That
something
makes
like
sense.
that. Yeah,
Mhm.
Spiceworks help
Brian,
desk.
you've never
yeah.
been to Falcon?
No, I didn't go to that. Thank you very much. No. No. I would have gone. It was insane. It was in Irvine, but yeah, at the time. So, but yeah, no. No, my company also does a similar kind of security conference at the end of the month, or no, in the next couple weeks. And I was like, yeah, it's like an echo chamber's echo chamber. I'm not doing that shit.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, I mean, I'm not drinking that fucking Kool-Aid. It tastes nasty. So, um, I it sucks because that sounds hoity-toity and like I'm above shit and whatever, but it's like,
But I am.
well, the problem I've got is it's the only conference these people go to, and it's like,
Yeah.
y'all need to get the hell out of your fishbowl and go see what real problems are like out in the real world. You may actually find out that it's pretty damn good here, or it's pretty damn sucky here, or there's another opinion here, and there's solutions that can be done. But the problem is, this thing is like, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm like, it's an internal security conference for internal people. I was like, how much more echoey chambery can you get? You've got like layers upon layers of echo here.
Yeah.
Plus, it's in Washington D.C., and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. You have it in San Diego, I'm here. You have it in L.A., I'll maybe show up. But yeah, it's like I'm not going to fly to Dulles and then go to Crystal City for that god awful trash. So it's like I'll just watch it from here. So, yeah. But yeah. So I don't have anything else to talk about. I wish we had more, but I didn't want to talk about any more news this week because I couldn't find anything good. Okta again has been breached. Whatever. I think I talked about some of that stuff on Tuesday, but I'll put some links in the show notes. I had stuff from Dark Reading about 9 ways to boost your security hygiene for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. That's a little old. Canada News found out that places like Best Buy and your geek help desk folks where you go to fix your stuff, they're actually snooping on people. A couple of researchers put some thirst picks on their phone and put a monitoring system on the phone, and they didn't take long to go find the thirsty pics and all kinds of stuff.
I'm still not surprised about that though.
I'm not surprised either. I think they were talking about that for years. Like Leo would, Best Buy and those would contact law enforcement if they ever found like, CSAM stuff or, stuff where it might have been, there might have been crimes or something because they got physical access to the stuff. I mean, it's game over anyway, so they can do whatever the hell they want. They can mirror the drive and then give it right back to you and then, look at it at their leisure. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday. As long as my computer is working. I hate this fucking computer. I bought this cyber power PC and it's got a nice graphics card in it. And it's real nice. Problem is when it turns the GPU fans on, it flexes the card in such a way as to cause it to have intermittent connectivity to the motherboard. And then all my screens go black and everything shuts down. So now I have to figure out how to fix that. And it's like ship of Theseus right now. It's like I could replace the motherboard, I could replace this, I could replace this, and it's like, well, I could have just built a better computer at this point. But I can't argue with the results. I got a lot of cool shit that I can do with it now. So, but yeah, it just kind of sucks. So yeah, it's just really weird. But
Wasn't
I guess that's
Citrix
it.
hacked or Netscaler this week?
What
Or a
happened to?
couple weeks ago?
Did they have another vulnerability?
Something
I think
like
we had
that. And then
yeah.
they found out that if you patch it, that's not good enough. You have to kill all the sessions because some of the sessions could last days
Yeah.
or weeks. So
Yeah.
you got to make sure you do that.
Yeah, I talked
Which
about
they
that one
didn't
on
tell
Tuesday.
you.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yep.
there you go.
People were like, oh yeah, you just use a VPN solution to get into your, because there was a Cisco vulnerability, like a 10, and it was the web UI RCE, unauthenticated RCE, as per normal. And I railed against that one. I was like, hey, why do we even allow web UIs to be exposed to the internet? Period. It's like, why do you need your Cisco firewalls, web UI connected to the internet? You don't. It's a convenience thing. It's like you're sitting on your couch watching Sunday Night Football. Somebody's complaining. You don't want to get up and walk to your office or have to drive in or whatever. Tap, 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 tap. Log in, UI, done. Make it happen. Nobody wants to. It's a convenience thing. 100% convenience. Oh yeah, somebody said, well, you could just use a VPN. I was like, yeah, let's set up a Citrix. Oh, and then the Citrix vulnerability came in too. So I was like, oh, well, you're either way. So, use Citrix to get your VPN connection to your Cisco web UI, and it's completely owned up either. So, and then Atlassian had a bug too. Atlassian was similar. I think I called it the triumvirate of suck or something like that last week because it was like all three just happened about the same time. So, but yeah. Mr. Betcher, how would people find you if they wanted to get online and talk to you about anything? Anything their hearts desired. What if they just got up one morning and said, I want to talk to Mr. Betcher? How would they do that?
Probably LinkedIn.
Yeah. Do you have like a LinkedIn/in/, Betcher Pwned, or what does that look like? Because I have like linkedin.com/in/breakb or something like that.
Nice. No,
that's mine.
Nothing fancy.
Okay. So they can just find you online and you're good.
That's right.
Okay. Miss Berlin, how would people find you on LinkedIn if they wanted to do so? Are you InfoSister on there?
No, I think I'm just Amanda Berlin.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's just Amanda Berlin. I don't think I have InfoSister anywhere in my profile, actually.
I've never.
Yeah, I see your posts. You went on. You want shared security? I think just recently. You were on a podcast recently too. Another podcast.
I was on 3 last week, and I don't remember what was, to be honest. And I was on 2 week. Been doing a lot of media stuff lately.
Are the audio podcasts or like streams like this? Because I'm not trying to be passive aggressive, but
no, I did the anti-cast thing with anti-siphon, and that was an actual video presentation and stuff.
Okay.
I did one on mental health with Sands.
Very good.
And that was a video.
Sweet.
And then I did a panel with some other place.
Okay.
About
I could have sworn I thought I saw Phil Wiley or somebody. You did something with somebody like that just recently.
Not recently.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Well, the only thing I would say is, you go on these, and if they're video, I don't want to be passive aggressive, but I don't see any break-sec stuff behind you.
Yeah.
I see a sticker. I see the sticker, but it's like really tiny. It's like up top middle.
I don't know. You want to give me something else? I don't have any other break-sec stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Wear a t-shirt.
I don't have anything else.
Oh, wear a t-shirt.
I can make my next license plate just say break-sec.
That would be cool. Or we could get you an overlay. I can make you an overlay that you could use for like a virtual camera setting, and then you could have like little trailer up top or something.
Yeah, I mean I have the one that I had on earlier, my background.
I'm pretty sure you have to put the Blue Mirror thing up.
It's like Blue Mirror-ish.
Yeah,
That's
I
nice.
use a virtual camera and stuff for mine for the stream stuff, so the backgrounds and everything. So I don't have to put my chroma back up here anymore. So
I have a cool
makes it
background now though.
that is nice. Yeah,
Except most of like half of those things are not work appropriate, but they're too small and you can't tell.
I'm imagining
zoom
like
in.
anthropomorphic hedgehogs and stuff. Oh no, it says
You
self
read
love. It
that.
says self love. Yeah, there you
Mhm.
go. Oh, okay.
Get it?
I see what it is now. Great. Now I have to change this to not safe for family people or something.
I didn't fight it. Yeah, I got like
It's a baseball bat. Yeah.
Yeah, the personal massager. Anyway, oh, well, see that bunny's helping the other bunny. That's nice.
cracking his back.
Exactly. It's chiropractor bunny. That's what it is.
Yeah, so I have some non safe for work things up there, but they're all very small. So just as long as people don't zoom in.
That's fine. Yeah, yeah. Right on. So everybody can find us on LinkedIn. Just look us up. We're not on any specific social media channel anymore, or if we do, we don't get a lot of engagement from those. So LinkedIn's probably about the only place. Actually, it is interesting. I post these things up on LinkedIn, and I get several hundred impressions. So I don't get shit on Twitter or Mastodon or any of those things. So we're somewhat professional. So I will post this up on LinkedIn a little bit, but cool. All right. Well, I think we're good. I'm gonna go. We're on YouTube as well. Go check us out on YouTube. That'll be in the show notes for you audio folks. And we're on Twitch stream on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we simulcast on YouTube. So thankfully, I'm not a renegade anymore. Twitch has made it possible for people to simulcast on multiple streams at once. They call it restreaming or multi-stream, but yeah. So I'm not a renegade anymore. I can stream safely on other channels. So that was it for Breaking Down Security this week. Hope everyone is good. Mr. Betcher is awesome to see you, sir. Mr. Lynn, as always, thank you so much for getting here. Everyone out there, take care of yourselves because hope you have a great week. And as we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. So take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.